Harris County, one of the areas that's being hardest hit right now. Here is 249 at Brown. So this is in the northwest part of Harris County. This is, kind of on your way out to Tomball. And I think you can get a sense of those cars are just gingerly, very, very carefully making their way through. Klein ISD students have been moved from the temporary or the portables, I guess is what they call them, right? Into the main part of the campus. And I think that's a very smart move. As I told you earlier, the kids that are in school, as long as they're in the main building of the school, they're in the safest place that they could be in. But I think that everybody's taking the proper steps there, and I would encourage anybody in all of the school districts around, especially from Harris County northward and westward right now, maybe get the kids in before it starts raining from the portables, into the main school building, because that's the one that's going to be much safer for everybody. So we got warnings all over the place right now. Some of them are about to expire and some of them are not. This tornado warning for the Sealy area really seems to have dissipated. So that's not a big concern as far as a tornado anymore, but definitely is a concern as far as high straight line winds. The other thing, what's interesting, even separated from the thunderstorms, this isn't even from a thunderstorm, this is just straight winds coming in, 45 miles per hour there in Angleton. That's enough to sometimes, knock down some tree limbs and even knock out the power when you get kinds of wind gusts like that. And the storms aren't even hitting there. But where we do have the stormy weather here, we just saw that view from 249. And I'm telling you, anywhere outside of Jersey Village northward, anywhere from Katy westward is going to be just a blinding downpour out there right now. Fox 26 News at noon is about to begin here in just a moment. So don't go away. Stay with us here in just a few seconds.
All right, good afternoon. I'm Chelsea Edwards. Thanks for joining us on Fox 26 News at noon. Right now, we are keeping an eye on all that severe weather rolling through our area. A tornado warning for parts of our area just expired, but we've got more warnings and watches that we're keeping an eye on. We've also learned that HISD has canceled all after-school activities. Here's a live look at Houston Transtar camera. This is at 249 at Brown over in northwest Harris County. You can see the roads are wet out there. We've been advising people to stay off the roads if they're able to, and of course keep an eye on these weather alerts as they're coming through. We're already seeing power outages in certain parts of our area, especially near Rosenberg. High winds tearing through certain areas, so that's where we want to bring in our meteorologist. JD is in today. Are we going to JD or Mike Iskovitz? Here we go.
I think we got the both of us.
Okay, we got the whole team here this morning or this afternoon. Thank you so much, guys, for coming in and keeping everybody on top of this. We've also got Tom Ziska in there. Okay, let's go ahead and start with Mike giving us an update as we watch all these warnings coming through. Maybe you can keep us updated on that, Mike.
Yeah, it's a lot. But right now the emphasis is on just a couple of locations. We're talking about Sealy, Brookshire, and Katy, and then Cypress up to the Woodlands. And Tomball. Those are the two areas that are getting hit the hardest right now, and where there's no doubt the greatest danger. So what we're looking at right now is not a tornado, but wind gusts. So this sort of batch of green right here is a strong wind gust that's coming through. Just crossed Brazos River there and moving toward Brookshire. So you can expect heavy rain. I mean, not just heavy rain, but like just coming down in torrents out there, along with some incredible amounts of lightning. That's going to affect you in Katy also. And all this is moving off in the direction of the west side of Harris County. We also have really high winds that are coming in here off the Gulf of Mexico up to, look at that, 44-mile-an-hour wind gust at Bush Airport, 39 in Pearland. So all that is feeding in a lot of moisture into this situation. Right now, we have a severe thunderstorm warning for the Brookshire area. We don't have a tornado warning. So all it really means is that the damage that could occur is going to happen due to straight line winds instead of due to rotating winds. It doesn't necessarily make it any better, does it? It just means that it's not a tornado. The entire area is under a tornado watch right now until 6. And as we've been talking about over the last hour, this is the beginning. So it's going to get probably dicier toward 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock today, as we've already started to see a train of thunderstorms, meaning that we're setting up like a corridor here, sort of along 59/I-69 and areas northward, where we've had severe storm after severe storm after severe storm, all continuing to come down with very high rainfall rates and likelihood for seeing some street flooding. Katy ISD has a shelter in place, a very appropriate thing to do. Houston ISD has canceled after school activities, which is also appropriate because it's going to be going downhill here in HISD over the next few hours. We have almost 18,000 customers, at least CenterPoint customers, without power right now because of the high winds and also because of the lightning. So take a look at this. This represents approximately 300 lightning strikes over the last 15 minutes. So you're talking about just sounding explosive out there around Katy and Brookshire, and this is going to be moving up, so like the Maid Creek or Mady Creek area, heading up here toward Hockley and the Cy-Fair area. It's moving your way. All of the action, every single storm has been moving the same direction, being steered by these winds that are blowing really fast above the ground. They're moving from the southwest toward the northeast at about 45 miles per hour. So this batch of really dangerous weather with prolific lightning, extremely heavy rain, probably hail, is all going to be crossing I-10 and crossing the Grand Parkway area out on the west side and heading up here toward the 290 corridor. I'm going to go ahead and loop this here for you so you can get a sense of where this is headed. This is a 30-minute loop, so you can see how this thing has developed here over the last 30 minutes. And yikes, I mean, rarely will you see this much lightning, and this is right over Brookshire. So if you have power in Brookshire, and if you're watching us from Brookshire, I just want to remind you again to please avoid any temptation to go outside and try to get video or pictures of this. Very, very dangerous with the amount of lightning we're seeing right now. In fact, I would encourage you to get away from the windows, because when lightning strikes outside, you can get some debris, you can get shrapnel, you can have some high sudden wind gusts that all roll in. I-10 taking it into Katy right now. Cinco Ranch and Katy and Seven Lakes and all those areas you're either getting it now or you're very shortly about to get some high winds and some incredible lightning that is going to be coming down right out on the Grand Parkway. And points westward of the Grand Parkway too. Katy ISD, shelter in place. Obviously, you'll want to stay indoors until this one passes. And let me go ahead and I want to do a storm track on this one just to give you an idea of where this thing is headed, because we kind of know where it is now, but we want to know where this sort of large area of intense thunderstorms is going to be going. Let me go ahead and just pause this here for you, and I'm going to draw this line which is going to estimate where the core of this worst weather is, and it's moving to the northeast at about 45 to 50 miles per hour. So we could take a look at this and tell you that, well, 0 minutes to Cyprus is basically in Cyprus right now, and it's going to be moving toward the Coralville area in about 9 minutes. From there, watch out in Tomball in about 12 minutes, and in the Woodlands in 24 minutes. But now keep in mind, yes, I know it's pouring down rain for you in Tomball already. It is, and in the Woodlands, no doubt, it's pouring down rain already. But this is where it's raining harder, and this is where there's probably some hail, and this is where it's severe at this point. What is a concern right now is, and I'm going to see, can you go to Harris County FWS and take a look at some of the rainfall totals so far from, because I suspect we're up there already at 3 to 4 inches of rain, which means that we're probably going to start to see some street flooding if it isn't already taking place. Now, the good thing is the bayous are all probably going to be fine because they've all been running low. We haven't really had any, recent heavy rain in this area. So at least initially the bayous will probably be okay. The streets will not be okay though, not with this kind of rain moving overhead from Katy to Cypress to Tomball to the woodlands. It just is going to be too dangerous for that. To head out on the roadways there. Here's a wider view showing you that the coastal tier of counties, which I'll admit to you was our biggest concern this morning because that's where the highest potential was for rotating thunderstorms. So far, we have not had that much happening down there at all. We had a couple of thunderstorms early this morning that were showing some signs of rotation, but they never really came to fruition. It looks like what we have now is a boundary. That's one of the fronts that's moving through the area right now, and that's where we're setting up this train of thunderstorms. And so you see how Katy ISD is having a shelter in place because even the one that just passed, that big thunderstorm that just passed, is not the last one. You know, there's going to be more coming in here. So we're going to keep seeing more and more and more of these coming in from the southwest. Let me read you the latest. Let's see. Severe thunderstorm warning with a possible tornado and 1-inch hail is now in effect for parts of Fort Bend, Harris, and Waller County. So that's probably the one I was just pointing out to you there with the, yeah, so this is it right here. So it was the same one we were just talking about. You see this box that represents where the severe thunderstorm warning is in effect. This one is until 12:30, and the primary threat is going to be hail and wind. So the National Weather Service is mentioning 60-mile-per-hour winds and the potential for 1-inch hail. So 1-inch hail can damage roofs. It can maybe even damage your car if it's parked outside. However, look, if your car is outside now, it's too late. You can't go out and try to rescue it right now. It's too dangerous to do that. So this is, let's see, in effect for another 20 minutes. So this core of the worst of the weather, where we likely have the larger hail and damaging winds and so forth, is moving again towards Cypress. And I know you guys are probably getting sick of this already because you've already had a couple of rounds of it. Conroe and Spring and Klein in the woodlands. You've already had a few rounds of heavy rain, and there's more headed your way. Same thing for Tomball. Same thing for Brookshire and Sealy. In fact, I'm starting to get a little concerned of those of you from Katy westward because that area has been hit just incredibly hard by at least 3 rounds of severe thunderstorms already. Is this from our photojournalist Todd Smith? Do you know? Oh, this is Matt Matejka, who is out there. Is he in the Katy area, or do we know where he is? I would guess he's out there on the west side, I think, is where Matt is. But want everybody to know here, he is not holding the camera. This is a dashboard mounted camera, and so he's driving along safely and just sending us back the video. You know that it is raining heavily when you see the truck there with its flashers on. Okay, so this is getting to that point. Okay, so he's out there in Brookshire. He's been going between Brookshire and Sealy. So he's getting to some of the worst of it right now too. Oh, I can talk to Tom. Is Tom out there in Katy? Okay, so our splendid anchor and reporter Tom Ziska is braving the elements, trying to get us some sort of on-the-ground views and his point of view from the Katy area. And I think we do have Tom available for him to give us an idea of, well, we can see what it looks like on radar. What is it like to actually be there, Tom?
Matt, I am riding with Matt Matejka right now. We are, I'm sorry, Mike rather, with Matt Matejka. We are on I-10 westbound between Brookshire and Sealy, and we right into that. Some hail. Couldn't really get a sense of how big it was, but it was clearly in the windshield. And then very as we head west, and there was a fair amount of wind. It wasn't damaging wind, at least from this vantage point. If we get some reports, obviously, Mike, we'll go check those out. But really, the issue is the heavy pace of the rain and in it. Most of the drivers, as you can see, if you can get a view of our dash cam looking out, people have tossed on the hazards, and we're driving slowly at about 45 miles an hour. But this, as you note, is one of the heavier spots in the area, Mike. It kind of hit us like a wall, right just on the west side of Katy, and then we're in the thick of it, Mike.
Any signs of hail? Have you seen any?
We as we hit the line of storms, Mike, there was hail hitting the windshield, hitting the vehicle. It was raining so hard that I really couldn't get a sense outside of the vehicle of how big it was, but clearly there was some when we hit this line of storms that we're in.
Okay, well, you guys stay safe and safe travels out there. Thank you very much for that report. Yes, sir. I do have my Fox 26 weather app pulled up here, and I really want to recommend that y'all have it because you need some way of knowing if a warning especially has been issued for your area. So like right now I just have it looping so you can see the same radar that we can see. But you need a way to be notified as to whether or not there's a warning for your specific area. We know that there are going to be warnings all over the place, but when it's in your area, it means that, for example, if it's a tornado warning, it means that the tornado is either on the ground or there's a very strong indication of a tornado on the radar. If there's a severe thunderstorm warning, then you know you're at risk for getting in on hail or damaging winds. We've also had, remember we were talking about this training of the storms, right? How they've been setting up in this corridor, and severe storm after severe storm after severe storm, all moving over the same areas. So as a result, we're approaching 3-ish inches of rain here, 3, maybe 3.5, maybe 4 inches of rain falling in these locations like southern Austin County, central parts of Waller County, and northwest Harris County, and up to the Woodlands too. Even though maybe those really crazy accumulations haven't happened yet. Okay, so we have a new, here we go. Okay, this is a brand new tornado warning for Fort Bend, for Harris, and for Waller County. Okay, at 12:10 p.m., so just 4 minutes ago, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located over Katy. Tom and Matt, maybe take cover. And it was moving northeast at 50 miles per hour. This is that same area we've been watching. It's almost like, I'm telling you, in the atmosphere, there's like a lift right there over Katy, because every storm that rolls through there gets juiced, like a shot of steroids coming in over Katy. So you've got a flood advisory in effect. Street flooding is likely. You've got that incredible amount of lightning coming down. Now you have what looks to be a rotation potentially that is zooming through Katy on its way into the west side of Harris County, it appears. So this is for Cinco Ranch, Jersey Village, and Katy until 12:45. So you see this thing is really starting to accelerate here off toward the northeast, again in the direction of Highway 290. So you guys, I know, from Katy and Brookshire up to Cypress, you just can't catch a break. Can we, let's see if we could check out some of the velocity product here. And there we go. So this is at a minimum, even if it isn't a tornado, this is at a minimum very high winds that are gusting here past Katy. So if you're out in Katy, you probably have already felt those winds just move through. And now that's going to make its way into the western parts of Harris County. So here's the Spring Branch area. You guys are okay. Here's Jersey Village. Right now you guys are okay. But out here on the west side of Harris County, you have a combination of really heavy rain, an incredible amount of lightning, and then this green moving in here indicates a strong push of wind moving toward the radar. So really, really gusty winds out there, probably 60 or even 70 mile per hour winds here in the Katy area, and moving quickly into the west side of Harris County. So let me go ahead and zoom in on this for you. I want to give you some specifics as we check out the motion of the storm. I'm going to go ahead and switch to this product and see what it is showing us, because okay, so this is moving here northeast at 50. So if we take that into account, that means that we are, let's see, looking at this moving to the northeast at about 50. So look, this puts us Cinco Ranch basically right now, Cypress in 7 minutes, Satsuma in 15 minutes, Jersey Village in 19 minutes, and the Bammel area in 29 minutes. So that's what we're looking at on this particular storm here on the northwest side of Harris County. So this thing is just trucking along, and the thing is, remember, if you had to hit the roadways, this is the same area that's already been hit by at least 2, maybe 3 previous severe thunderstorms. And so it is going to be completely soaked. You're going to have most likely some street flooding taking place out here in the Cy-Fair area and in western parts of Harris County and in the far northern parts of Fort Bend County as well. There was a hook echo that showed up here. You see that? Right there. That's where the you see this is where the National Weather Service went ahead and pulled the trigger on issuing that tornado warning. So this was at 12:07, so this is, give or take 10 minutes ago, and look at that hook. That's where it really caught the National Weather Service attention. They went ahead and pulled the trigger on this tornado warning that's headed toward 290 and the Jersey Village area. Now, however, when you look at how it's progressed past Katy and now made its way over here into the west side of Harris County, it really looks like it's wrapping around and could be forming into sort of a more of a straight line wind sort of event. But this is the way the system looks here on at least one of our radar sources. I wanted to try to catch it on this one, not showing up as great on that one. Let me see if I can try this one. There we go. So that one, okay, here we go. This is what's called the terminal Doppler radar out of, this is located in Pearland. The radar is located in Pearland, not the tornado. But this is where the tornado warning is in effect. And in fact, you can zoom right here down to street level. And this is right along the Katy Freeway. Can you guys back in the operations center, can you maybe pull up a TranStar camera for us of I-10 near Mason or near Fry? If you could find I-10 at Fry Road or I-10 at Mason Road, that really is where this thing is right now, or even farther to the north of that. This is for those of you who live out in this area, like this is Greenhouse, St. William Lane, Clay Road. Out here off to the north and east of Katy itself, this is where we have that rotation taking place. It's a little bit, and again, this is not, it's like I kind of mentioned earlier, this isn't like the strongest monster rotation you'll ever see, like one of those classic Tornado Alley kind of, it's not to that extent, but at this point it doesn't matter. It is still a hazard, obviously. So I don't know if we can, can we find one of those TranStar cameras? Yeah, thanks. Yeah, they're working on it, because we kind of, and we also have Tom Ziska and Matt Matejka out there on the road too. They pulled over. Okay, well that makes a whole lot of sense. I'm glad. I am glad that they pulled over, because right now they're in the thick of it. When you take a look at, let me see. I want to pull up, guys. I want to see if we could go. Oh, he's on Highway 99 Grand Parkway right now. Oh. Let me see. Okay, so this is, and bear with us, guys. I mean, this is all breaking, right? So here we are. This is 99 Grand Parkway, and I'm sorry, I can't see. So this is out at, how is that pronounced? Shield Road? I've never heard of that. Obviously, not many people are out there on the road, right? And the people that are out there are moving along really, really gingerly. So if you could stay home, definitely would recommend that. Director Kevin, is there a way, can you move us back over to Lynx 1 so that I could use some of those tools? That would be great, thanks. Again, this is just another one of our system tools that we have that allows us to see, kind of through the storm and where the rotation is and so forth. So, I'm going to back out just to give you an idea. There's Houston. Look, all the red you're seeing, this just indicates wind directions. It actually technically indicates the direction of the raindrops that are moving. But it does give us a pretty good idea of where a rotation is located. This doesn't look like a very well-defined tornado signature, but I mean, obviously it's not something that you want to ignore. The latest, again, this is like the computers giving us an idea of what's happening inside the storm, and that is that it has a rotation, which is what TVS means. It is moving to the east-northeast at 45 miles an hour. It likely contains hail, although the hail size doesn't look like it's really big. It is, let's see, making its way toward Jersey Village in 12 minutes, toward Aldine in about 27 minutes, toward the Spring area in about 29 minutes. And by arrival times, I mean that's with the location of the rotation. Obviously, it is still raining very heavily in the areas that I mentioned. So, yes, it's already raining like crazy, you know, in Spring and in Tomball and in the Woodlands. But now, you know, now you've got this storm coming in that's possibly rotating. So that's the system right there by Katy. And then behind it, you know, we're not completely finished with anything yet either, because look what happens back down here when you get out here to Eagle Lake and El Campo and these spots down here to the southwest of Houston. All this stuff is still moving in. So, you know, we're definitely, you know, haven't seen the last of this, because all of this is still moving toward Houston, that right there, and this right here, moving in at least to areas off to the west of Houston. So, you know, all these areas here that have already gotten, you know, 2, 3, 4 inches of rain are going to get more. You know, so if you're in Katy, Jersey Village, Cypress, you know, any of those areas, there's more coming. So that is, you know, obviously one of our areas of concern. Sometimes these things can settle down a little bit, and, you know, you start to get in on a little bit of a break. You know, one of the ways you could track that too is with lightning. And so I'm going to go ahead and just pull this up real quick and put on the lightning counter. And I want to see if I can pull up here the positive and negative strikes. Okay, so what happens here is that when you see these high numbers of the positive strikes, when you reach a peak of that, a lot of times it means that the storm is kind of reaching its mature stage and is about to start weakening. So I'm going to back this up here 30 minutes, and notice how the positive strikes are 56 and the negative strikes are 186. Now if we look at right now, the positive are up to 92, and there's a lot more negative strikes. So you're seeing more positive, less negative. Usually that means that the storm is kind of reaching its peak, if you will, or, you know, it's what you would call its mature stage. So maybe it's not getting any worse, at least. But yeah, you know, that being said, this is absolutely no picnic to be out there in northwest Harris County at this time. Elsewhere, let's see, we do have, guys, if, okay, oh, so here's I-10, let's see, no, this is I-10, sorry, I have to step in front of the camera to take a look at this. Katy Freeway at the Grand Parkway. Let me zoom in on that, because you can get a sense of just how heavily it is raining down there. Let's see, back here on Max, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on that area. Grand Parkway and Katy. I'm going to take off all your watches and warnings, because that's a lot to deal with. There's a lot of colors on the screen. And I'm going to pull up a product here that is rainfall rate, because that's a lot of times what's the most important thing when you're looking at these sort of things, is not just how much rain has come down, but how fast it's coming down. And let's see, I had a hard time finding that, but this is well, this is the area that would be favored for heavy rain and hail. So that's the core of this, is moving up here, West Road and to the south of 290. And then we could back this out and find some of the other places that are, you know, maybe producing some hail and heavy rain too. This is out in Jackson County. So this is way down there for you guys around Ganado and Jackson County. But the important thing is it's moving you know, we could loop this here, and you'll see it's moving into Wharton County, and then eventually this thing's going to find its way, you know, farther north into Fort Bend County, and eventually, you know, give it another hour or so. So there is a lot going on here, and it just seems to be getting to be a little bit bigger of a deal in these areas that have already gotten hit so hard. Oh, here's the precipitation rate that I was looking for. Sorry about that. This is what I wanted to show you out there in Katy. We were just looking at that the video of I-10 at the Grand Parkway, and what I wanted to show you was this, where you can zoom in here and we can see how fast the rain is falling. You know, what's the rate that it's falling, and anything more than 2 inches an hour is going to be a problem. And out here, look, this white part here is going to be, look at that, 2.7. It's like basically 2.5 to 3 inches of rain per hour. This one here, Katy Hockley Cutoff Road, is at 1.6 inches per hour. But this area here, West Little York and to the south of 290, any of these white areas, same thing here. This is, let's see, this is going to be FM 529 at Barker Cypress on the northwest side, Greenhouse, West Little York, and this is moving up toward 290. These are the areas here where you're going to run into street flooding, and that's Cypress too. That is Cypress too. Right here, you're looking at 2.5, 3 inches per hour. Cypress, Rose Hill, and points southward, 2.5 inches an hour, 2.5 inches an hour. And keep in mind, so it's coming down right now at 2.5 inches per hour, and you've already had a lot of rainfall. You've already had, let's see, 3 inches of rain, 2.8 inches of rain, 2.2 inches of rain. So you've already had 2, 3, almost 4 inches of rain, and it's still coming down at this rate of 2.5 inches an hour. So Northwest Harris County, Waller County, and Austin County are all really at risk for some street flooding right now. We don't have a flash flood warning in effect, I don't think, but we certainly do have a flood advisory. Yeah, right now there's a flood advisory that's in effect for the Katy area and the west side of Houston. Sometimes these warnings come in so fast that it's difficult to keep up with even. But I mean, I can tell you, regardless of what warning we have or anything like that, we know that this is dangerous to be out in. So is this the driving shot from Tom and Matt in Katy? Oh. Okay, we're gonna take this, one of our other photographers, Tuan, who's out there. But this heavy rain on the west side has now prompted a flood advisory. A flood advisory generally means that street flooding is taking place. So here's 290 at Skinner is what you're looking at here. Forget about it. I mean, the people that are out there on the road right now are, hating life. I mean, that is going to be a rough drive and can get very dangerous. I mean, talk about hydroplaning. That's the area that I was just showing you where the rain is coming down at 2.5 inches per hour. That's extremely heavy rain right here. And so that is just gonna, it doesn't matter, what kind of drainage you have, the water just can't drain off the roadways fast enough to drain that. So 290, and then especially any side streets or any low-lying areas that you might know in and around your neighborhood that are prone to flooding are going to end up gathering some street flooding in this kind of situation. This is moving towards spring, and this is moving toward Tomball, and this is moving toward the Woodlands. And this is like becoming a broken record. This is just one storm after another, all of them strong to severe, all of them dumping about 2 to 2.5 inches of rain. So here we are in Cypress. Again, that's going to be moving up right towards spring in the Woodlands. And as I mentioned earlier, there's more rain behind it. Okay, there's more rain coming in. Let me zoom out a little bit. We are scrolling there on the bottom of the screen, or not scrolling, but we're pulling up some information for you there on the bottom of the screen regarding some of the school districts and what they're doing to account for this dangerous weather that's in place. Liberty ISD is releasing early. And notice Liberty ISD is not getting dangerous weather right now, but it's a very, very good idea for them to release at 1 because they'll get ahead of it. Fort Bend ISD has suspended any after-school activities. Houston ISD has suspended after-school activities. Let's see, Santa Fe ISD has canceled their after-school activities. Remember just a moment ago I was showing you this one down here in Jackson County, Ganado? Well, now it has a severe thunderstorm warning on it. This one is moving toward El Campo. So if you live in the El Campo area, that is going to be a storm that's going to bring potential hail, potential damaging winds, and again, a ton of lightning, just a ton of lightning. And then farther here toward the north, we have multiple advisories, and we're probably going to end up with another severe thunderstorm warning for this one. Right now, we have flood advisories like for Cinco Ranch, Jersey Village, Tomball, Woodlands, Klein, Spring, those areas. We have a flood advisory, so street flooding is expected, but it is borderline severe. And it is moving right into the Woodlands and Spring. So, what an afternoon, an early afternoon it is. Boy, tell you what, as we toss to JD, amazing that folks in Pearland and Clear Lake and Pasadena are sitting pretty right now. The rest of the area, we have a flooding event setting up.
That's what's really interesting is how localized this is at the moment. But as you've mentioned a couple different times, we're still kind of at the beginning of what we're expecting here with this very active afternoon. We really were expecting things to begin around 10:30 this morning, and I think it was 10:38 when the first severe thunderstorm warning was issued by the National Weather Service. So I do, Mike, you mentioned a minute ago how fast some of these warnings are happening because of all the activities that are going on out there. And I just want to take a minute to point out that we've got, I guess, a little bit of a good news with some of this. That warning, that tornado warning for Harris County that was supposed to go until 12:45, they've expired that, or they've canceled that because that rotation that was in the atmosphere is no longer there. So that's, I guess, some good news to report, is that we're able to cancel a tornado warning every once in a while and not necessarily stretch this out as long as it was initially thought it was going to be. So I just want to pause for a minute and just back up, give Mike a chance to kind of catch his breath and sort of review a little bit about what's happening across our area. We do have the tornado watch that's still in effect. So that's what we've kind of got pulled up on the map right now that I want to focus on at the moment. And this watch is expected to go until 6 p.m. And I'm really suspicious that the speed at which this is going, there's a good chance that we're going to see that also perhaps expire before 6 p.m. I'm not going to go telling the National Weather Service how they're doing their watches or warnings or anything, but that is one of those things where they put that out with a little bit of padding. And so I do expect us to be in the potential for that. Now remember, if you were watching last night and up to the beginning of this event, we've really talked about two particular waves that we're really going to be concerned with or we're watching. And we're kind of in that first wave right now. The rotation associated with this upper level low that's moving through the area, that's what's helping to generate and drive most of what's happening right now. Later in the afternoon, 3 to 4 o'clock, that's a rough estimate on that time frame, the front itself will start to push through. And once that front pushes through, we'll expect another sort of surge or another sort of peak of what we're looking at some of these possible activity that's firing up right now. So let me take a minute to zoom in a little bit. We'll talk about what's happening at the moment. We've got the tornado watch, which is the bigger picture. Basically, Interstate 10, a little bit more north of Interstate 10, but in very general terms and south is where we're looking at that tornado watch. That's going to go until 6 p.m. today. When we take a look at, we're going to again focus on flooding for a moment, where we're concerned with some of that's happening. I'm going to show you that downtown Houston there is in the bottom corner of your screen, and then so we're looking out to the northwestern portions of Harris County. We've got a couple green polygons here that are drawn in, showing a couple different areas where they've received a lot of rain in a short amount of time, and this is why we've got problems. We're looking at some confirmations of up to probably 4 inches of rain that have fallen within these areas. And you can see with all the red on the radar, we're still seeing even more rain fall into those areas. So I'm going to switch to our rainfall estimated totals from our radar. And again, sometimes these are a little bit more accurate than others that we're dealing with, but these are kind of what we're looking at. Let me get it set up so we can see it well and framed. Again, we keep this downtown Houston area though over in the side, and we'll look at some of these totals that we're seeing across the area right now with some of these. Again, these are radar estimated rainfall totals. That 4 inches that I gave you earlier was from the Harris County Flood Control District that was actually recorded. And I think I'm going to go ahead and just take a moment and look up and tell you exactly where that was. So a 2-hour storm total of near 4 inches was in eastern Wallace and northwest Harris County. So that goes along with what I'm showing you here with a 24-hour total of some spots with up to 5 inches of rain. I want to be able to tell you where you're looking at there on your screen, so I'm going to see if I could get some help helping to identify. Well, we're switching to TransStar now, so that's going to be one of our TransStar cameras, Cypresswood and I-45 North. So we'll kick, again, we'll look at where we're taking a look. It looks like we've got a new severe thunderstorm warning that just came up. This is going to be for Jackson, Wharton County, so that's a little bit, again, out to the southwest. Let's see if we can pull that up for a moment. We were looking at rainfall totals, but I don't want to leave out a tornado warning that might be out there. That's not going to show on that one. Give me just a second to locate that one for us here. The tornado warning that just came in to our southwest, it looks like. And we'll let our graphics catch up with us for just a moment here. We've got the watch we know of. Here is, make that a severe thunderstorm warning we'll focus on that's going to be out. Okay, Jackson and Wharton until 1 is the tornado warning. So let me switch things over here a little bit. I want to make sure and be able to show you what we're talking about with that warning. I'm having a little bit of a okay, so that is a severe thunderstorm warning that we're looking at a little bit further. El Campo is going to be a part of that. That's going to be a bit further out to the south and southwest. So again, let me move this over a little bit more so we can get a look at it. So currently, severe thunderstorm warning until 1 p.m. A tornado would be possible within that warning, but also we're talking about damaging winds as well as some hail that'll kind of get mixed in along with that. So that's going to be, yeah, I said tornado. A severe thunderstorm warning this is what I was trying to get to show you. Right down 59 is what we're looking at toward Edna, and this is going to be one of those situations for Jackson and Wharton County. Hail is going to be a possibility with this warned area that we've been talking about, and we're certainly looking for those strong winds, and maybe even a little bit of rotation is something that's a concern. So want to just step back for a moment and maybe get a little bit of that bigger picture to kind of give us sort of set us up for what we're talking about that's happening. We've got a large storm system, and we've seen this for most of 2023, it seems like several rounds of these west coast to east coast storm systems, but they've stayed north enough that we being the Houston area and southeast Texas, haven't really been pulled into it as much. But definitely today it's a different scenario. That low pressure system coming down further to the south. You could see a little bit of this rotation that's sort of behind us here in West Texas, driving a lot of this. That's that upper level dynamics that gets that spin going, gets that lift going, and really pumps out the rain as well as an area of some strong winds, sometimes tornadoes, which is something we're definitely been monitoring the possibility of today. And then when we get a little bit more movement to it, a front gets pulled in behind it as well. That front will be here later on. So we're dealing with the storms right now that are being generated mostly by the upper level dynamics, and then we'll see that front perhaps move in. Well, it will definitely move in a little bit later on. So I want to go ahead and take a look again at the dynamics that are happening overall across the area, where we've got the yellow shading here, all of these counties representing that watch that we have in effect. We've got temperatures that not something that we're really all that much focused on at the moment. And then we have the severe thunderstorm warning that's way down to the southwest in Wharton County. And then we've got those strong storms that are also moving in. So let me get a closer look at that flood advisory that's happening, and then we'll see exactly a little bit more on that. I'm waiting for my computer to catch up here. All right, tell you what we're going to do. We're going to we're going to go ahead and go out and talk to Domily. I believe she is in the Clear Lake area. Domily, can you hear me out there?
Bit. The rain is coming down steadily. It was falling a lot harder about 35 minutes ago. As you can see, leaving lots of puddles here in the grass, and looking just beyond the grass, you can see the Clear Lake is pretty choppy. The waves are sort of walloping up against the wall there. And oh my goodness, okay, take a look at the wind. I am absolutely doing battle with the wind right now, and my poor photographer is trying to hang on to the light. The wind has picked up significantly in the time that we've been here. At first, when the wind was sort of blowing, gusting just a little bit, it was gusting every few minutes. Now there's just a steady sort of wailing of the wind, just mashing against us. And if I try to turn this way, if I even eased up just a tiny bit on this umbrella, that thing would be gone. This wind is absolutely fierce out here. And even as we were driving here, wow, even as we were driving here, the photographer says she thinks we need to wrap it up. But as we were driving here, there is some ponding on the roads. It's a great day to certainly stay in, because this weather is severe and debris is starting to blow around. I see a trash can actually blowing over that way. So we're going to actually wrap it up and take shelter as the wind picks up here in Clear Lake.
Thank you, Domily. Thank you. We want to get her out of there, get her and her photographer to safety. Meanwhile, we just want to go over what's happening with some of the schools in our areas, just to recap some of the updates that we've been giving you over the past hour this afternoon. For one, Houston ISD, all after-school activities have been canceled because of the weather. East Chamber ISD, they will run buses early at 1 p.m. and all after-school activities have been canceled there. For Fort Bend, all Fort Bend ISD after-school practices, activities, athletic meetings, all of that's canceled for both middle school and high school. You may have to check in with your individual schools because of the variety of things that are happening in that district. Then you have LaPorte ISD, all campus after school activities canceled there as well. Liberty ISD, all campuses will be releasing students early at 1 p.m. We also had an update from Santa Fe ISD, classes canceled there. There have been a lot of questions about what's going on with Katy ISD. The latest update from that district is that the campuses are monitoring the weather conditions, and notifications are going out to specifically for the schools in that area. We're also told that Katy ISD is sheltering accordingly. And remember, as we've been saying, for parents who are worried about their students, the school is the safest place. You've got a secure building there. So, if you kept your kids at home, that may make you feel better. But if you did send your kids off to school today, we don't want to have you worrying that they are stuck in the middle of this weather, because that is a good place to be, as Mike has been telling us. All right, so let's go ahead. JD, are you back up with your maps? I'm good. You're good. Okay, so let's go ahead and get another update from JD. But meanwhile, let's take a look at our TransStar camera. So I can't see exactly where this is right now, guys, but we're looking at these roads that are very wet and hopefully not a whole lot of traffic out there. I'm going to take a quick look at our TransStar updates before we get to JD here, because we've been seeing some accidents pop up. They've also been clearing pretty quickly. Right now we have one on I-45 Gulf northbound. Yeah, so again, stay off the roads if you can. Let's go ahead and get an update from JD about all these warnings and watches we've been following.
Yeah, I think the positive thing to kind of report as far as the watches and the warnings is that things are kind of slowing down. I don't want to make it sound like things are over at all, but I do just want to sort of say that things have slowed a little bit in the fact that we don't have the tornado warnings that we're pushing out, it seems like, every 10 or 15 minutes. We definitely have a lot of rain and a lot of lightning causing a lot of problems for many of us. There are some quiet areas out there as well. If you're down in the Pearland area, I'm sure you're noticing not much going on. TransStar camera there was showing an accident on a roadway, so I'm sure those are not a good place to be right now. We need you to stay in place as you can. Our radar and our lightning is what I'm showing you right now behind me, and these are situations in which there's a couple big areas that are receiving quite a bit of rain and lightning at the moment. You know that's going to be dangerous, just the lightning in general, but it's also going to be potentially something that might knock out your power. So use precaution, be safe if you're dealing with trying to decide if you need to go anywhere or not. This is not the time to go anywhere. Even if you are in some of those quieter areas, that's not going to be what you need to be doing. We're going to continue to see these types of storms move through the area for today. So at the moment, we have one severe thunderstorm warning that we're watching, and I'm going to see if I can pull that up for you here. That is something that's out to the southwest. So while this might be the only area at the moment where we have that warning, as we mentioned, there's a lot of other things happening that can make it not safe to be outdoors at the moment. So downtown Houston there over in the corner, we're going to go way down out here to Wharton County on 59. That's where we're seeing this, Jackson and Wharton County, where we're seeing this warned area. It's all of the things that we've been talking about. Strong winds, up to 60-mile-an-hour gusts possible. Lots of lightning, hail mixed in with this area as well. And then we cannot rule out the idea of there being a tornado that could be working its way into this severe storm as well. That's moving up, pretty much just moving right up 59 in towards Wharton at the moment is where the bulk of that is happening. In addition to those that warning that we have, we also have a flood advisory that's been issued by the National Weather Service, and that is going to be what I also want to talk about as we're taking a look at where there's just been too much rain in too short of amount of time, and that's going to be Northwest County, Northwest Harris County is where we're seeing that take place at the moment. So we'll give our computer here just a moment to get caught up and be able to see what we're looking at. And looks like my computer is not going to want to show us that graphic because of giving a little bit of time. So let's see if we've got somebody else that we can go to at the moment. If there's another tower cam, if we've got Ramisha Shade is also here, meteorologist, ready to go. So let's see if we're ready to go over and check in with her, as again my computer here wants to give me a little bit of problems, not wanting to really show anything but what I've got up here right now. So
JD, thank you for giving us that update. In the meantime, let's go ahead and talk about some of these outages that we're seeing. Just, I want to say about half an hour ago, they were up at close to 20,000. I am seeing that number has dropped, but these are outages most likely caused by all of the wind, the high winds that we've been talking about happening in the areas where this tornado warning was issued. So right now we're looking at about almost 5,000 outages going towards between Bel Air and Sugar Land area. Now, this is just a reminder, if you do have power at this time, this would be a great time to go ahead and make sure you download our Fox 26 weather app and news app to make sure that you are getting those alerts, even if your power goes out and you are unable to watch us or keep the TV on. That's a good way to keep updated as these warnings and watches, they continue to change, and we're expecting that throughout the afternoon. But again, good idea to do that. Some other things, you know, again, stay off the roads. We're telling people to make sure wherever you are at this point, go ahead and stay off the roads. We saw how wet, how soaked it's getting, especially where Donnelly is in that Clear Lake area, and especially everything that's been happening on the west side of town. So again, stay off the roads if you can. And then if you have the opportunity, you know, we've talked a lot about the prep, and I don't know if we can talk to Ramisha about this, but we've been talking a lot about what people can do right now if they aren't experiencing the worst of it. Anything that they should be doing other than we've been saying, you know, make sure you have a way to get the alerts so that you can stay posted. But Ramisha, you may have other advice for the viewers at this time.
That's right. We're still monitoring severe storms out there dumping heavy rain, still showing some rotation. No tornado warnings right now. That is the good news for our area, but we do still have a severe thunderstorm warning. This is for portions of Wharton County and also into Jackson County, right around El Campo, getting closer to Wharton. We actually had reports of a rotating wall cloud about 5 minutes ago from a storm spotter about 2 miles far away from the El Campo area. So that means that we do have reports of rotation in the air. It has not touched down, so it's not officially a tornado just yet, but we did get those reports. And this cell still has the capability to produce a brief tornado as it pushes off to the north and east. So this is right around El Campo. This is Wharton, and we do have a severe thunderstorm rolling right over the El Campo area with the potential for a brief tornado. Even if we don't get the tornado, it's dumping heavy rain. Wind gusts could be as strong as 60 miles per hour, even greater. So what do you need to do if you are in El Campo, if you are in Wharton? You definitely need to stay away from windows, get to the lowest level of the building that you're in. First of all, make sure that you can try to get to a sturdy building, get to the lowest level, most interior room or hallway that you can. Try to stay away from those outside walls and make sure that you are protected from any really strong damaging wind, from any flying debris. If we did briefly get a tornado, that is what would be the most dangerous to you. So make sure that you're in a strong building, try to get to the lowest level of your home, your school, your business, and try to put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Not only do we have that severe thunderstorm in Jackson and Wharton counties right around El Campo, but we also have a big squall line pushing off to the north and east. The worst of it at this point just to the north and west of the downtown Houston area, but it is still going to be gradually shifting east as it moves northeast, some of those individual cells. Humboldt getting in on some of that very heavy rain. That is the other issue that we have. We do have very heavy rain out there, and it looks like we do have another severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued, and this is going to include the Humboldt area, just as I mentioned, Spring Valley. This is going to be until 1:30 p.m. So this storm now capable of producing potentially some damaging wind gusts around 60 miles per hour or greater, along with extremely heavy rain. In fact, we've had some reports of 2 to 3 inch per hour rainfall rates, and that is going to amount to a lot of flooding. You can see the areas outlined in green, those are flood advisories, and we've got several of those as well. You can see Cypress, Jersey Village included in that flood advisory. We are now looking at our velocity mode showing some of that rotation. You can see the pinks and reds right next to that green. That indicates rotation. You have that wind blowing towards and away from the radar, and this is going to be just to the west of Kingwood and Humboldt. So this is our latest severe thunderstorm warning. This is going to be out until 1:30 p.m. and it does include the city of Humboldt, and it does appear that we do have some rotation getting a little bit stronger and developing here. So this is what we're going to be monitoring. I'm actually going to step off and give you the latest of what's happening with this severe thunderstorm. The severe thunderstorm warning definitely has the potential for some wind gusts of 60 miles per hour, some hail, likely around an inch or less. And this is going to be for Harris and Montgomery counties until 1:30 p.m. We've also got another flood advisory issued for Harris and Montgomery counties until 3 p.m. The Bear Creek area at Barker, Cypress, and Clay Road and Highway 6. That's where we have reports of rainfall around 2 to 3 inches per hour. So when you have rainfall rates that heavy, that quick coming down, that means that you are going to have a very high potential for flooding. So watch out for street flooding out there. Watch out for the potential for some of these storms to produce 60, 70 mile per hour wind gusts and possibly a brief tornado. Here's a wider view. We've got a big squall line of strong to severe storms rolling through, starting to get closer to the downtown Houston area. At this point, up around Conroe, you are getting the worst of it right now. Very heavy rain.